Bienvenidos to another edition of Cafecito with Rosie. I am so excited. I miss you guys. It has been a while, but we back to normal. I want to thank actually Sergio and Eagle Fly Media, also Andy Ledesma for creating this, and 24M Studio right here in Tampa, Florida, right in the heart of downtown. And today I am honored to welcome Ruben Santiago. Hello, Ruben. How are you today?
Oh, Rosie, listen, thank you so much for inviting me. This is an amazing studio. Guys, you got to come here.
Yes. Anytime that you need a tour, just call us and let me know. Call Cafecito with Rosie. And then look me up at rosiepaulsen.com. But Ruben, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you and I met many years ago. And this is one of those things that our relationship lasted through the years, even through a pandemic, because it has been quite a while. But tell me a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you help our community.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I come from the days of ArtNet. For those of you who are out there that understand what that means that is before the internet, But I fell in love with the internet, even though back then, it's kind of interesting. How I got started in the internet was that back then I was a network engineer, making computers talk to each other. And we were working on a protocol. Protocol is a language called 802. That's what we called it back then.
Right.
Today, we call it Wi-Fi. Okay. Mm-hmm. But interestingly enough, is that back then we were in chat rooms, nothing like today.
Right.
Okay? Back then the chat rooms were black and little gray dots and things like that. And some people asked for some of the information of the things that we were working on. And I had no idea how to get that information out to them. And so I reached out to another tech friend and I said, listen, people are asking for this information. And he said, well, use the burner on your computer. And I said, what do you mean? He says, the burner in your computer. Oh, you mean that thing that comes out, I put a cup of coffee on, right? But he said, no. So basically he showed me how to put the information on a CD. Okay. Well, practically he became like my coach, my mentor, because he showed me how to do something and he gave me a shortcut to do it. And I loved the whole thing that I didn't have to go to school. I could ask one particular person to give me the shortcut to the solution of a problem that I had. So I went to eBay. It was like 2 years old at that time and I made a mistake. I said that I only had one copy of the CD. Oh. I had only made a copy, but I had the ability to make other copies, right? To burn other copies. Mm-hmm. Well, that one CD 25 years ago sold for $182.50 because people went crazy bidding for it. Oh. That was my very first product that I sold online. I think today we call that an info product.
Right,
okay? Right. And then I went back and I told him, listen, this just happened. I was ecstatic. And he goes like, did you know that eBay rules allow you to sell other copies to people at their last bid price? I go like, really? Again, my mentor, my coach. So I went back and I contacted everybody. Well, that one CD ended up selling $2,500 25 years ago online. That's how I got hooked on the online business.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about if you could tell yourself now. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, tell us where people can find you. Okay. Your phone number, your website. Like, how can people reach you?
Perfect. Thank you so much. Listen, you can find me at rubensantiago.com. Okay, I had a marketing agency some years back. Now I'm a business coach. I work with people that have an idea that want to take to market, mm-hmm. and we help them build that. And a lot of times some businesses come to us and say, well, I have a problem with sales. Mm-hmm. I've been in sales for 30 years. Mm-hmm. One of the things is I have a problem in sales. So when we look at the entire ecosystem of their business, we find that the problem is not in the sales. There are 5 steps that need to occur before sales happen.
Yes.
Okay? So we help them do that. So my phone number is 727-481-6902, but you can find me at rubensantiago.com.
And see, this is very important because as an immigrant of this country, one of the things that we all lack of is, I keep saying, is the institutional knowledge. So what happens is in our countries, things get done, by sheer ñeque, grit, resistant, resilient, tenacity. But then you come to this country and now you have to have those resilient tenacity and grit, but you also need to know the institutional knowledge. And it's not like you can buy a book and it's there, right? You have to know the mentors, the people that know, and people that they really have a level or understanding that just because they share information with you, and even if you become bigger than them, it's on their best interest to do it. So there's no competition. I call it collaboration. And that's part of why this time our theme of Cafecito with Rosie season 2 is going to be about leadership with a servant heart, because it's about building long-lasting relationships, help others be successful in what they are called to do, and then we all benefit out of it. So again, I see you brought some of your books. So this is one of the reasons why I also tell people about writing a book, because this is your intellectual knowledge. This took me 20 years to do. So if for you read 150 pages of this book in, per se, 10 days, now you have 20 years of my knowledge in 15 days that you can, condense. Exactly. So tell me about those books that you have here.
Sure. Well, one of the things is being a business coach, I get to talk to a lot of people, right? Now, one of the things is 3 years ago, we created an academy, my partner and I, and when I went through law school, the director of the law school, I met her and then we connected. Yanni Winter Fundus, she's an attorney, immigration attorney. And one of the things that happened was that after she left the directorship, she called me about 3 years ago and she said to me, Ruben, I have all my prior students coming to me, asking me questions all the time. And I said, well, let's build a coaching program so we can help the attorneys, right? So we did. And in the last 3 years, I can tell you, because I looked at the numbers this morning, we have actually coached 10,485 people in 3 years. Okay. Most of them, some of them attorneys, some of them are just immigration document preparers. When you talk about a servant heart, one of the things that we take a look at leadership is the people that strive for leadership and they see it as a reward, they're egotistical. It's about them. But when you look at reaching, a position of leadership, and you look at that as the place to begin to do something, then you have a servant heart. Now, we have people in our communities, and we know that we got to help the people in the immigrant community, but we can't reach them all.
Right.
So we are teaching and empowering others through the Immigration Law Academy so that they can reach their communities. It has been said that you can cut an apple in half, you can count the seeds, but only God knows how many trees will going to come from those seeds, how many fruits are going to come from those trees, and how many more people are going to get fed. So our job is just to bring the fruits out there.
Yeah. And this is what I do again with my insurance business, right? So I'm raising the next generation of insurance leaders with a servant heart. What am I looking for? What I call fat people. And no, it's not fat people that they're chubby. It's not faithful, available, and teachable. Because you can take a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. But if you have somebody that knows it all, you can't teach him anything, right? You do have to have that person that is willing to listen to you, has that right, I will call it that right kind of attitude where you say, I'm going to learn. I'm going to see, I want to get to where Rosie is, because we were talking about this, right? I've been doing this for 20 years. So people think that I became successful overnight. They don't understand the headaches I have to go through, the money, the blood, the tears that this cost me. They just see the end result. But what my superpower is tenacity, grit, resilient. And that's what I want others to know. So in your case, what would you consider being that superpower that makes you so special to help others find their superpower?
I think resilience is one of them. We understand and we know that the end game is where we want to get.
Right.
So whatever it is that we have to go through to get there, it's a material because we stay focused on that end game. When you focus on the things that are in front of you, you're going to lose focus to the end.
Yes.
So once you have a goal, one of the things that we do when we build our programs, for our clients is we look at what is the promise? What is the one thing that you're promising that your clients is going to get? So then we look backwards from there. And this is it's a project management thing that we look, okay, what happened just before that?
Right.
What happened just before that? So then we have steps, and within those steps, we have deliverables.
Right.
So then we look at, okay, so if you have this step and you have the deliverables, if you accomplish this, that means that you will have reached this level. And then we continue. And then it's just a matter of focusing on the next step so that you can get to the end goal.
Right. And see, this is one of those things that I also learned. I've been in business for 20 years doing a lot of tactics. What is tactics? Doing social media, having a website, going to networking, but I did not have any strategy. So I spent a lot of money and time not knowing what I wanted to accomplish. But I was blessed that people really follow me and they say, Rosie, you're so successful. Well, now I have a clear strategy of where I'm going, what I'm looking for, how I'm helping others. And now using the same tactics, I haven't changed the tactics because tactics is what made me successful, but I now have achieved what I'm looking for. And sometimes again, having an amazing business coach like you do, there's different coaches for different things, right? But it's learning to know what your purpose is, what your why is. And then when you are not getting focused, because you will be distracted with many things as a business owner, everybody is trying to get your attention. But if you have a clear why and you stay focused, you will achieve more by sticking to what you have to do. I tell people, I now work less, but make more money. And that is amazing, right? Because I'm still able to be who I am as a person, be the good wife, the mother, anything that also pulls outside of my business, but be focused on what I want to do. Anything that happens to you, and you travel a lot. So tell me a little bit about that. How do you balance all that?
Well, as a business coach, one of the things that I do is I help businesses close sales. All right, and I do that in several different ways. I help them create their sales pitch, if you want to call it that. It's actually more of a sales stack where they can create a luxury offer, so that when they present the value that they bring to the client say that is a no-brainer. I'll buy it. So it's not about price; it's about value. And one of the things that I do is I help businesses also do it from stage. They bring me in to do the stage presentation of the closes. I did one not too far from here. The Edition, the Tampa Edition Hotel. And I did that in August last year. I did 1.3 million out of 58 people in the audience. Okay. I just did 3 weeks ago. I was in Colombia. I did a presentation to there, and we did probably a little bit of $300,000, talk about Colombian pesos, so that's a huge number for here. But that's what I do. I go and I help them close. I made the deals, from the stage. I made the stage presentation. And one of the things that we work, and one of the things that we were talking about before we started here, was that in my presentation in Colombia, I asked them, do you want me to speak to you as a orator from the stage that's going to give you pretty things, or do you want me to give you the low down and dirty? And everybody said the low down and dirty. Right. And I said, and it was this, and I say this with a servant heart, and I may have to explain it. And I said, the worst enemy of a migrant is another migrant. And why is that? Okay, because migrants come, and you got to understand that the United States has 2 credit systems. Okay, one is a business credit system, and the other one is a personal credit system, just like it has 2 tax systems. It has a tax system for business and a tax system for individuals. Yes. Well, the people that come from a foreign country to come here, legally, they sell everything to come. Okay, they sell their house, their furniture, their cars, they sell everything. So they arrive here with, a boatload of cash, $80,000, $100,000. Okay. And then they come into a migrant community where the people in the migrant community do not know that there are 2 credit systems. Okay. Or that there are 2 tax systems. And then they say, hey, listen, okay, I know somebody's going to give you a good deal on the car. Why? Because they're getting a commission. I know a good person that's going to give you a good deal on a house because they're getting a commission. And then 3 months later, they're out looking for a job because they're broke. Right. And if they understood that there are 2 credit systems and 2 tax systems, they can avail themselves of the business tax system or the business credit system. And that $80,000, they could end up buying a small apartment building. Right. Okay. That's going to generate cash flow for them. That is going to really turn their life completely around. Yeah. So, and I work with those, we have a firm that, we work with, especially with people in the EB2 and IW visas, which are the visas for people that have doctorate and master's degrees, and they can get a green card within 6 to 8 months when they get here. Yeah.
Yes. And see, this is the thing. Traditional, so American people, right? And not knocking them down, because we are thankful that they have accepted us as one of their own. I always say I'm an Ecuadorian by birth, Hispanic by heritage, and an American by choice. They understand the power that we have. 70% of the economy of the United States is run by small businesses. Who do you think own the small businesses? It's the migrant community like you and I. And if we understand the power we have, we're still going to work hard, but we work smart now, which is putting some money away, taking that money. I remember my parents sold everything in Ecuador. $1,000 35 years ago when we arrived to this country. And guess what happened? The first person that my dad met here in the United States sold this amazing pots. $1,000 later, that's what we bought with the $1,000 that cost us to sell everything in Ecuador. Because my dad did not know this person was helping him, taking my mom from the airport to the house. And by being grateful, they bought this pots, $1,000. Those pots did not last us 35 years, okay? If my parents wouldn't understand, again, we can invest. Now, I can tell you that nowadays we are more savvy with our money. Now we have been able to understand that this generation, my family and I, are building the wealth that our future generation is building in this country, okay? But not always understand that, again, people are working for commissions, but you have to have a clear understanding and an institutional knowledge that there is ways to make your money work for you. And that takes me to a residual income. Because I know you talk about sales, but one of the taboos for our Hispanic community, especially a migrant community, is, sales are bad. Salespeople are out there to get you. They are going to go after your money, and all they do it is because of their commission and their packet. But there is that is residual income. And again, it goes back to leadership with a servant heart and building relationships. What would you like to say about that part of people thinking that sales commissions or salespeople are terrible people?
They have their own misconception, okay? and it really comes to education. I've been in sales for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I love sales, right? But sales can be sleazy,
yes,
and it can seem icky and ugly to do. Now, one of the things that we do in the academy is that we teach all our preparers and our business people how to present without selling. Uh-huh. Okay, and here's the key, and maybe I can help you audience here. By the time you make your presentation, never mention the price. Mm-hmm. If the person is interested, if you have created enough value and desire, because you got to understand one thing: even though the person's in the middle and pain is on the left and desire is on the right, they'll run away faster from pain than they will towards the desire. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that they understand that we have adopted their problem and that we are giving them a solution so that they can go run away from the pain. Once we develop this what we call the stack, when we develop the value that we're going to give to them, then we go silent. Mm-hmm. Because the moment that I say a price, I'm selling. Mm-hmm. But if they're interested and they ask me how much, now they're buying. Mm-hmm. There's a clear distinction between the two and a big difference. I want them to buy. I don't want to sell.
Right.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. And see, this is the same thing with Medicare. Medicare mm-hmm. is such a complex information. And I remember when I learned, it was about simplifying the information. But at the end of the day, I am always looking after my clients' best interest. They have to make a decision regarding.
I'm an example.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm an example. All right. So I just turned 35. Okay. So what happened was, I knew Rosie for years, mm-hmm. and I knew because she had been persistent, always staying focused and talking about the same thing. So when I was like 2 to 3 months getting there, and I started getting all this message, you got to do this, you got to do this. Listen, I got bombarded in the mail by all these flyers and all this other stuff, but I only had one person in mind.
Yes.
And I called you.
Yes.
Okay. So she never called me. She never prospected me, but because she was firm and steady in her message, in her position, in her stature, that I knew that when my time came, I knew who I needed to call.
Yeah. And that's important because he made the decision on his mind way before he needed my services. But me being consistent on telling people, hey, I'm here if you have
questions. That's what sales is all about. Yes. Listen, if you think that you have to approach somebody to make the sale, you miss the entire, you miss the boat. Okay? Sales happen because of everything else that took place before.
Yes. And if you be consistent, tenacity is one of those things that we're talking about. But this is, again, it just happened that I admire Ruben and what he has done. And it was surprising to me that he was saying, hey, I'm going to need your services. And he worked overnight. We made a couple of phone calls. I explained to him, hey, listen, I know it can get complicated, but how complicated you wanted me to make this? And he goes, make it as simple as possible. Just tell me what I have to do. And I did. Yeah. He's used his services and he has worked. And this is what makes me happy. This is what I do for what I do for living, because people like you, they're successful and they're happy. And I know we're probably getting to the point of wrapping this up, and I do.
Oh, wait, I thought we had till midnight.
Yeah, I know, right? But I want you to tell me a little bit about your books, because I know it's very important that you this is all your knowledge and your information, and I want to give you the opportunity.
Oh, thank you so much.
Just show it to us, and then tell us a little bit about them.
Some of them are in English and Spanish. The latest one that I have is because I work with people, experts, so to speak, people that have master's and doctorate degrees in other countries that want to translate, to translate that and bring it to the United States. Well, the United States has a program right now that is called the EB2NIW visa. Okay, which is for professionals, people with bachelor's degrees and equivalent 5 years of consecutive work experience, either a master's or a doctorate degree. Why? Because the United States wants to bring brain power back into the country. Yes. So if you happen to qualify for that, let me know. I'll send you a free copy of the book. Okay, sells. It's on Amazon. You can find it there too. Okay, but let me know and I'll send you a free copy of the book, because basically what it is this. The qualifying individual, their spouse, and their minor under 18 years of age, they can get a permanent residency within 6 to 8 months, because the United States wants you here. So if you know somebody that qualifies and they're interested in coming to the United States, let me know. I'll send them a free copy of the book and we can talk about that. And that is very important, because again, there is ways to arrive and to come into the United States legally, because the United States do need professionals. Right. There is a lot of things, a lot of opportunities in here. So again, this is a great information, and Ruben can help you to do this. And then once you come here, he also will show you how to do the ropes here in the United States so you can be successful. Listen, the biggest pain I have in my life is a friend of mine that started a franchise. She was so great at it. She worked so hard for about 5 years. And then when her E2 visa was supposed to be renewed, they didn't renew her E2 visa. And she had to go back to Venezuela with her children. She was married to a Mexican gentleman, so he couldn't go back to Venezuela because he was not from there. So they end up separating, divorcing. Okay, now this woman is by herself with her children in Venezuela, where it was not the safest place for her to be. And I couldn't help her. If I knew what I know now, I probably would have told her, okay, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to talk to, which she was at that time, her elected official, the congressperson. I knew that person. So that is my biggest pain. But if you do this right way, there are people like Ruben and like me, that we want you to be successful in this country, because there is a way for you to do it and make it and become the best version of yourself, serving with leading with a servant heart. And with that, Ruben, I'll thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you so much for inviting me.
This is awesome. For coming. Yes. And then, again, tell us again your website.
RubenSantiago.com.
And awesome. Thank you so much, amigos. Muchas gracias. Los quiero mucho y los espero en el próximo capítulo de Cafecito.
Cafecito con Rosie. Nos vemos acá.